understanding. It's so much more than that, but that's the general gist of it. And I understood that there was a divine science at work. And it wasn't fluff, and it wasn't fantasy. And I got it. My life, of course, then turned into a nightmare to some degree, because I discovered the truth. I discovered, it's like one day you get up and you realize that everything is just not what you thought. I mean, on a deep level, and I know we say that, but on a deep level, it's like somebody took my glasses off, and I saw life. And there was a point there where it was kind of tough, because a lot of what I had learned, it was now being thrown out, and there was a couple of times when I said, okay, I need a moment to deal with this. I need a moment to deal with this, because this is much. But once those blinders came off and my life started to change, it started to change because I couldn't live my life that way anymore. And it wasn't that I was living it good or bad. It had nothing to do with that. But the choices that I would make were based on, as I said on the last program, it was based on what I understood to be the reality, or based on what I understood to be truth. And every time you discover more, the illusion falls away, because something new must come. And I started stepping up and stepping up more and more and more. And the grand space that I would love for the book to take people into is where you really understand that you're involved in a gigantic, divine, cosmic game. When I use the word game, I know there's maybe a couple of people that are like, what do you mean, a game? And I explain it. There's not enough time to really go into the scope of explaining it, but you're involved in this huge, it's like a huge game. And then you have to be able to get that. And when you get it, then the game life doesn't seem as hard, because you really see it now. You see it now, and your choices end up being different. Your choices end up being completely different, because they're not based on the illusion. You realize there's nobody doing anything to you. There's nobody controlling you. There's nobody doing anything. It just seems like people are doing all this stuff to you. And it's because of the understanding and the space that you're in. So it's a matter of coming back into that power, into that knowing who you are, and it's major. Now on the third dimensional level, that is what when you hear about secret societies, that is what they don't want you to know. Now, there are those that understand that. They don't want you to know, because they are busy trying to achieve this thing that I've discovered that I'm talking about. But they will never be able to get to that point, because of the way they're pursuing this. And when you're pursuing it for the purpose of controlling other people, it's a whole different ballgame. But it is your divine right to know who you are, and to realize that you really are the source that you're looking for. Everything that you're looking for, you are. You are the secret. You are the secret. You are what you're looking for. And that is what is so absolutely... That is what is so amazing. So once I discovered that, like I said, it wasn't like all of a sudden my life just was amazing. It just went through all kinds of, like I said, foreclosure, repossession, eviction, you name it. My whole world over a period of time got shaken up. But each circumstance that I went through, it forced me, I couldn't go back, because once you discover it, you can't go back. So I had to keep going forward, and and it pushes you, because you have no other choice but to regain your power each time. You're having to pull and regain your power, and you get stronger. And then you understand about the science of doubt, and you understand the science of fear, and you understand about all of the external programs that are coming at you, and they're coming at you when you discover it. And in the book, I do talk about that. I do talk about the energy field around the planet, and I explain more about the matrix and what that really is, and that we do exist in a field of energy that pretty much, it's like it has its own life. But what's interesting is it's only mirroring what you're putting out. That's the interesting part. Now, collectively, we've all been putting out some things that are keeping us stuck and keeping us from seeing that it's just being mirrored back to you. So once you start to realize that it's mirroring it back, doesn't, like I said, the way it's set up, and I can't go into the detail of that now, but the way all of that is structured, it recognizes, that energy recognizes the shift in your consciousness. It recognizes the shift in my consciousness. It's almost like another one is escaping. That's the feeling you get. It's like another one is escaping. Because you see, in order for this to continue, you must stay asleep. In order for this little dance to continue the way it is, you must remain asleep. Now, the dance itself is essential. Everything you've gone through is essential. It was part of the process for you to discover all that you could potentially be as a human being. Okay? So if we use the word God, and I always say that, I hear that, God is everything, but yet we try to make God some things over here, but God can be this, but God can't be that. Well, we're talking a life force that doesn't matter what it is, all things come from that. All things come from that source. And the design is to discover all the potentials in this time and out way beyond this timeline. It must continue to discover more about what it could potentially be. Not that the results aren't known. The results are known, but the process must be experienced. The process, it must be had. The process must be had because you as a human being are designed almost like a computer. You're designed with a network, a wiring, which is your emotions. And it's those emotions that are intertwined into the field here, into this earthly experience. It's intertwined in that in order for that experience to be transmitted. You're a transmitter and a receiver. So in order for that to be, the exchange to occur, just like you breathe in and you breathe out. There's a cycle to all things. So all of that had to happen. And as I've said before, there comes a time when we awaken. Should have gotten my water. Would you mind grabbing my water back there for me, please? There comes a time when we reawaken to needing to go further. Thank you so much. When we reawaken to being grander than we are. And as I've expressed before, when somebody said, well, who created this? You, on a much grander level. Before you ever hit this timeline, and I do speak a little bit differently, and the reason why I do is because I get it. And so I'll mention timeline because it's, you know, past, present, and future exist simultaneously. They all exist at the same time. So I refer to this timeline, I'll use the term this timeline because this is the only one that you appear to be consciously aware of at this time. So when anybody asks me how old I am, I always say according to linear time, according to your timeline, this is how old I am. And that's another thing I talk about in the book. So that's a whole other thing because that's a farce. Age